This is a good movie. This is a good movie, one of the best so far this year, so far a weak year. But this is a very good movie. This is probably Alex Garland's like best like technical movie. I think Ex Machina is his best movie by a lot. I think Ex Machina is much better than this movie in my opinion. From a storytelling perspective, dialogue, acting performances, the whole 9 yards almost. Besides the technicals. The sound design and visuals in this movie were amazing. A plus. The intensity, the tense moments, the tension that you feel, the thriller, horror elements, the sound designs and the visuals really shine in this movie. And we'll get into the spoilers a little later with some specific scenes, but that's why like you really thought that $50 million budget here, his biggest budget ever, A24's biggest budget ever. He said himself that he felt stressed over that, and he came out and he swung a home run on that element. The budget was not a problem here. I can't even imagine if he got more money because I think it would have been twice. Like this was so good. I think just from watching it, and I saw it in IMAX on an IMAX screen. The sound and visuals were spectacular.
I saw it in an IMAX theater by like sitting alone, 15 people in a huge IMAX like theater. Um, and I was thinking if this was a packed theater, this would be even more of an insane experience. The sound design, holy crap! I was jumping out of my chair. Right, it was moments of such tension, and then it would be just broken by gunshots, like randomly in random places. It has huge war type battle sequence, right? The raid on the White House at the end. But aside from that, there's not many moments where you're like, it's a huge set piece. Usually it's like minimal sets of characters going at it. Some people were complaining when I was online that the movie's a little bit slow in the first act, and then picks up second, third, right? I think you had to really, what I liked is that you had to kind of set up what this world looks like, And as I was thinking about it, I was like, okay, why is Alex Garland making this movie if it's not so political? I think he just wanted to show what the world would look like. And like he's making decisions like electricity, right? It's going to be in and out. People aren't going to have cell phones. Like public transportation is going to be out. Canadian currency is going to be way more valuable than American currency. Like the small decisions that are made, it feels like the decisions you would talk about with your friends at a bar. Like, hey, hypothetical, we go into a civil war, right? What does life look like? That's kind of him just bringing that bar conversation to a movie. And then aside from that, it was talking a lot about combat journalists, and that job that seems like it's insane. And I don't know how accurate it is that they are so in on these battles, right? Next to these soldiers, like hands on these soldiers without a weapon, right? Their only weapon is a camera, you know? I thought it was really cool to see that job, but I think that's not what people were kind of looking for with this movie. I think that's why it's kind of a curveball. Before this movie comes out, they lay out like Alex Garland's map of what the Civil War looks like, the states that are aligned. You have the famous California and Texas alliance, right? That really made waves. I think really drove people to want to see this movie. But this movie really doesn't dive into it too much. It kind of just plants you in the middle of the Civil War and kind of leaves you asking questions and just setting the scene there.
Before I go on this rant, let me say I'm glad. I think it was smart, and I'm happy the approach that Alex Garland took here with the storytelling, with the politics. Like he clearly picks a side, right? Fascist government. Like there's clearly signals of who he's referring to. He self-admittedly said that pretty much in metaphors, more metaphorically speaking. But I'm so glad, like you were saying, like I totally agree with you, where he didn't lean into it so much. He was focused on these journalists. Really, another gripe, I would say, more photographers, I would say, not journalists, photographers.
Not
Uh,
much writing
and,
happening.
and I think that was the smart move here. Kind of try to be as neutral as possible, but you do end up picking a side. But, but, yes, I think you're right. I think the audience was expecting more of a lean. And I blame the promoting of this movie for that
Yeah.
because they totally were like, all right, this is our biggest budget ever, $50 million. A24 movies, they usually don't make a lot of money because they're indies, right? They're indie darling. Not anymore, clearly. But in the trailers and the press tour around, they keep harping in on Texas, California, oh, the liberal and the Democrat, liberal and conservatives, right? Democrat, Republican joining together, and everyone's like, oh, we gotta see this movie. Election year, they really threw it all in here to promote this movie and try to get people to see it again because it's the biggest budget ever with one of their guys. I think Alex Garland's the most collaborated A24 director, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, and he's like one of the A20 what reasons why A24 is successful today is because he kind of helped them get their start. So all I'm trying to say is I'm glad at what they decided to do, but they can't be upset with it, the audience reactions, when they literally perpetrated that thought going into the movie. They literally said, "This is the trailer. This is what we want you thinking before you go see this movie because we're trying to lure you in." You can't really be like playing both sides of the coin here with the audience.
It felt like it's just a huge tease. Like people were going to see this movie because of like the political ramifications, but like the
Yes,
movie never talks about those political ramifications. It doesn't even talk about like parties. You know, it doesn't say Democrat or Republican here, right?
which I think is smart.
Maybe those parties don't even exist, right? It's just the Western forces, you know, versus the president. And the
And
president, it's like this doesn't tell you what political party he is, but it is saying he's like a fascist president, third term, you know. But it's like we know who you're referring to. Like if you're in touch with like politics and like you watch the news a lot, you watch this and you like already say like this person belongs to this party, right? And Alex Garland just doesn't outwardly say it because like this is already such like a controversial type of topic, right? In the political climate we live in now, with just bringing up the idea of civil war, and people are saying like it's closer than we ever like imagined, and like Alex Garland's just saying, well, if this is how close we are to it, what does life look like? You know, just a big tease. And like even like Jesse Plemons wearing those glasses, right? And having, I don't want to give any spoilers yet. We'll talk about his scene, but like it's when you look at him, you're like, I get it. Like I know where he was January 6th. You know, I get it. Like it's just like he's not outwardly saying what this person belongs to, what his politics are, you know, but we get it. You know, so I think he just has said, I'm gonna take he's really good at taking his audience for just intelligent, you know? So he's just I think he's avoiding controversy with this movie when everyone was expecting controversy. Um, okay. Action sequences, Ricky Flicks. I mean, the third act here was unbelievable. You know, that was like if the first two acts felt like a horror movie, the third act, I was like, damn, this is what A24 is capable of, right? When it comes to war type of sequences, you know? This movie made $27.5 million on a $50 million budget, Ricky Flicks. I mean, is this a hot start for what A24 is kind of building towards with like these action films, you know? And I'll save my next question because I think it's a doozy. But what do you think about like the budget here? Do you think it was well worth it? You know, are we going to see more of this?
yeah, two things. One, this was projected to make around 24, 25 million this weekend. Before Sunday, already surpassed it. That's big. Two, movies that are bigger budget, but movies in general, but especially if they're bigger budget, their goal domestically here is that they want to make half their budget back opening weekend. That's what they did here. This movie is a check mark off their checklist here for A24 saying, yes, we can do bigger movies. Yes, this is not IP, but I know, like again, like we were saying with the promotion here, helped a little bit getting people to the theaters, but these bigger budgets that can be shown in IMAX screens, which IMAX is back, by the way, still at 2019 levels, very back, versus movie theaters are still below 2019 levels. IMAX is not. IMAX, people want the IMAX experience. So A24, another check mark here on their checklist, bigger movies, IMAX screens, and it doesn't even have to be IP. That's a big win. We're gonna see a lot more bigger movies come from A24, in my opinion.
I was thinking while I was watching this, Ricky Flicks, um, and you talk about bigger filmmaking. Maxine is like a trilogy of movies. Like you could have multiple films stem from Civil War. It could be a prequel, honestly, that could talk about Nick Offerman, how he goes into his third term, how this dystopian like US like plunges into civil war. I think that was what people were looking for, an explanation, right? Dive into the politics. You could do that with a prequel. You know,
The sketchy slope.
if you want to be ballsy, you know, and I think Nick Offerman as the lead would be insane.
So
It would be insane. And I want to know those alliances. How did they come about, right? Were the political parties like dissolved, right? What new political parties are now here. Okay. Talk about like the downfall of all these different like businesses, the economy crumbling, like show it from the beginning. I think you could do something great there. A sequel, not interested. That's not, it's, the Civil War's over, right?
It's
Apparently
over.
by the end of this. So just, I think a prequel's on the table.
God, I agree, but then again, like what we're talking about, what's the strength of this movie? I would say is not picking sides clearly, not like labeling parties, not saying how this happened, but just what is happening. What would happen if the U.S. somehow got to this crazy point in time in the modern era? That's what this movie is best at, where it's just showcasing you the highways of trucks on the cars and trucks on the highway, or Canadian versus like the currency, where that is, and how much it is for gas, and how like, oh, we might not get another chance for a gas station, or for gas, not a gas station, get gas. We got to take this chance and whatnot. So I think it would lose that allure, I would say. And you mentioned Nick Offerman, so I like what he's doing. He's getting away from the Ron Swanson character. We had Dumb Money, The Last of Us. I think he won an Emmy for like that Emmy that's the cameo type of Emmy. I think he won that. He was in The Founder 2016. He's gonna be in the next Mission Impossible movie. So I like how he's getting away from Ron Swanson. Yes, he is next year. But I couldn't get out of my head every time they refer to the president and Ron Swanson, the character itself, and how like libertarian he is, and how like he hates the government and everything. It's like they had to cast him for that reason, right? Or like to make a
he's
super
wink conservative. Like he's like conservative in Parks and Rec. It's just it matched up well. I think. But I would like to see him like do something with a little more meat on the bone, like just like more screen time. I feel like he's in all of these great projects. You just listed a bunch that he's going to be showing up in, but like his screen time is less than 5 minutes in everything he's in. I just think he needs to do something with a little more substance.
I totally agree. I think
this was so juicy. Like this role is so freaking juicy.
I know.
Third term president, and that was the opening scene with him, like, giving a speech right to the people, but it's like recorded and everything. He never goes live. I thought it was amazing how they set him up, and like once again, Alex Garland is like knows what he's doing. Where he's like, okay, like how does the president view like journalists? And he views them as like as worse as the Western forces. They are the enemy as well. And that obviously, what does that make you think of, right? Obviously, Trump taking on like CNN and all these different networks and things like that. He knows what he's doing, but I thought I would have loved like one or two more scenes. I would have loved like an actual like dialogue at the end, more so with like the Offerman character.
Again, we're not in spoiler territory, but at the end, that's my gripe with the ending of this movie.
I got multiple gripes with the ending of this movie, dude.
There's a bunch, but that was one of them. And again, we'll talk about it later. But I totally agree with you. I think Nick Offerman, when he showcased in The Founder, I was like, oh, this is a guy where he won't be a leading man, but he could be a good not minor, supporting role, like character, actor. And we saw that in The Last of Us. I think he could really take a next step here and not just be a minor character. He could be a supporting character. And I'm just waiting on a chance. He's, besides Mission Impossible, got nothing on the docket. Mission Impossible, I'm expecting him to be a very small role once again, similar to this movie. But after that, I really want him to get back into do something like The Founder. That would be great.
He is a great actor, but he's not a scene stealer. Jesse Plemons is a scene stealer. Like Nick Offerman's great when he's here and we're happy to have him. Feels like he's just like, yes, Offerman's here. It's like such a likable guy. But Jesse Plemons comes and it's like, damn, did he just put on the best performance of the movie in 5 minutes? And arguably he did. He was so electric in this movie. There was so much hype regarding the scene. For the Deepas, we have Plump Boy of the Year, obviously, like Jesse Plemons and a slew of other actors, but he is obviously number one in the power rankings. Maybe we just have a Plump Boy power rankings throughout the year, Ricky Flicks. Let's jot that down. I think that's a good idea. But it was like him with his wife, Kirsten Dunst, like in a scene together, the frame going towards both of them. I was just like smiling for a second, but then like it immediately evaporated because of the horror of Jesse Plemons' character in this movie, and it completely lived up to the hype. Amazing still with him in the glasses, the gun, the famous quote, "What kind of American are you?" That's the scene I was like, there's no I think I'm overhyping this scene before I see it, and somehow it still surpassed expectations. That was by far my favorite scene in the movie, Ricky Flicks. Jesse Plemons, is he like, I was thinking like he looks very similar to this actor. Is he this generation's Philip Seymour Hoffman?
Yes.
You know?
I thought the same thing.
I
I
was just,
literally thought the same thing.
it's the look, but also the way he comes into a movie and just everyone's locked in on him. And he automatically makes the movie 10% better. You know, I don't think he has the range of Philip Seymour Hoffman. Like, I can't see Jesse Plemons being like a Scotty J type of character in any movie he's in. You know, maybe we could see him do it.
I don't know there. I don't
He's
know,
great
Jim.
in like Game Night, but he doesn't have like he has like the underlying anger. Like when I was watching him in this, I was thinking of Mission Impossible 3, in the opening scene, where it's like this guy is so calm, but he could snap at any time, and you're just scared when that snap's gonna happen.
7.
You know, it's gonna take you by surprise. And we'll talk about details in a sec. But thoughts on Plemons, you know, other performances in this movie.
So leader for Plump Boy of the Year for Deepa's 2025. In the running for Scene of the Year for Deepa 2025. He was the best scene. Unbiased, that was the best scene in the movie. We talked about all the great action scenes, the tense moments, some of the great visuals. This was like just an acting tour de force. It was incredible. And like you said, when the trailer came out, we literally said, holy crap, Jesse Plemons. And we were hyping this up to the moon like it was Dune 2. And this over-delivered. It went past our expectations. I am still in shock how good he was in this. And it was, cameo of the year. We didn't do that this year. Leader for cameo of the year. Like this, It was very similar to like Bradley Cooper in Licorice Pizza, but better, in my opinion. Like, he won't be nominated for an Oscar. I think Bradley Cooper should have been in that because it was a little longer cameo. But here's like a true cameo that's like, holy crap, it was so good they put it in the freaking trailer. That's how good it was. And it's that good. It is. After seeing it, it is. So happy for our Plump Boy. It's going to be a big year for him. Big year.
The thing is, like, he was way more interesting than any of the main players because, like, they're journalists and photographers. And you see the Jesse Plemons character, it's like, holy shit, let's spend more time with the camera focusing on him, you know? But I thought Kirsten Dunst was awesome in this movie. And I don't like many of the stuff she's in, like just like the type of movie she's in. Like frequent collaborator like Sofia Coppola, and it's not something that those movies usually don't jive with me. You know, speaking of Cailee Spaeny, right? It's kind of weird to see Cailee Spaeny just in the Sofia Coppola project next to Kirsten Dunst. And Kirsten Dunst is like acting with her husband and stuff in this movie. A lot of dynamics happening, but she said everything without saying anything in this movie. She looks so beaten down, and it looked like she just had lost all feeling towards the world. You know, and you kind of have to have that as a combat journalist. You got to have a head on a swivel. You kind of have to be right looking out for yourself. And you have to make sure like you're safe, and you got to make sure you get the job done. You get the shot, and you got to have balls, you know, you got to take risks. And I thought she nailed it. Like, she was absolutely unreal. It looked like she hadn't slept in 5 days in preparation for the first day filming this. You know, she like sorry to be impolite, but she looked like the ugliest she's ever looked in a movie. Intentionally.
On purpose.
On purpose. She looks stressed. You know, she's just so beaten down. I thought she was the best by far in that group of Cailee Spaeny, Wagner Moura, and Stephen McKinley Henderson.
She was the best overall performance in this by a lot. Like, it wasn't even close, in my opinion. Like you said, she looked beaten down on purpose. She had like a numbness to like war and like
numbness,
this chaos.
That's a great word.
Thank you. I thought it was a great physical performance, and just it was fantastic. Again, like Oscars, she's only been nominated once. Again, like you talked about last episode, weaker year. Can this movie last the test of time for 2024? We'll see. But it doesn't matter. It was a great performance. And I'll say this movie did a pretty good job balancing out our main players. Because you have her, you know, kind of a stud photographer, very famous, a lot of experience, and seen a lot of shit, you know. Then you have her partner, who's supposed to be a reporter, by the way. We'll get to that, Wagner Moura, a.k.a. Pablo Escobar. And he's in for the thrill. You know, he's the thrill ride. He's also drinking all the time, whatever. Then you have the young and up-and-coming who wants to be like Kirsten Dunst and Cailee Spaeny, the little more spry, but also a
Peppy.
little nervous. Peppy, yeah. I thought she was great. Her best performance, much better than Priscilla, in my opinion. And then you have Steve McKinley, who's kind of like Jesse Plemons, or and
He's like
he was
Nick
in,
Offerman.
but like he's like legitimate. Like he knows his role in every single movie. He delivers, and in this movie he's like the veteran, older statesman, where the two what's it called Wagner Moura and Kirsten Dunst look up to him. You know, he works for like the New York Times or like what's left of it, he says, or something like that. So like he's like a veteran and like he's the older statesman in the group. So they did a pretty good job balancing out the journalists, which I thought was really good balance for this group that were following on basically what is a road trip movie, you know? And like if you think of road trip movies, you kind of can't have the same characters throughout. You got to have different perspectives on things. And that's what we got here. And I think Alex Garland and then these actors did a really good job exhibiting that throughout the movie.
I think Steve McKinley Henderson was my like second favorite for like the main players here, you know, but he is like he plays what you expect him to play, right? With like this person wise beyond his years, realizing he's at the end of the road, right? And it's like one final ride, you know, and it adds to the diversification of the group. They did a nice job selecting how the group was going to be outlined, you know, for the film on the road trip. He has amazing taste, Steve McKinley Henderson. I'm looking at his IMDb right now, and
He's a beast.
I'm looking his known for, right? Just like IMDb. I have this thing I want to do, Ricky Flex, where it's like we guess the known fors for certain actors, you know. But like I think we should do that with Jesse Plemons in a second. But I'm just gonna read you the ones for Stephen McKinley Henderson. Known for, it says Dune Part 1, Lincoln, Lady Bird, Fences. Like he is just an actor's actor. You could tell people just respect him. You know,
Dune 1.
Beau Was Afraid earlier this year. Last year, I mean. What were you gonna say?
Dune Part 1. He was the Atreides' like wise like robot, like human robot.
Great meme where his eyes go in the back of his head.
Yes.
Oh,
David Dastmalchian, who's very similar to Stephen McKinley, I would say, like a counterpart, was also the wise person, but for the Harkonnens, human robot for the Harkonnens. And he's kind of similar too. Like he's like a younger Stephen McKinley who like is always a minor supporting character, not the supporting character, but minor, but knows his role and everything, plays a similar guy and everything, but is always delivers.
Okay, Ricky, I want to do this with Jesse Plemons. I'm gonna put you on the hot seat.
Okay.
I think we should go back and forth with these. Jesse Plemons, IMDb, known for 4 movies.
Well, it could be shows though, right?
No.
It's only movies.
Only movies, because you would say if it was shows, you like Breaking Bad or Friday Night Lights. His character in this movie was Todd. It was pretty much Todd from Breaking Bad. You know, he's too good at playing that type of character. He's got to give it a break, or people are going to start getting suspicious. But known for Jesse Plemons. Go.
Oh God, Jesse Plemons. They'll probably put Killers of the Flower Moon on there just because it's recent and it's Scorsese. I'm thinking of ending things. I don't want to say The Irishman, but it's Scorsese, and they could throw that on there too. And I'm not putting Game Night. He's definitely that's like just a Twitter thing, or social media loves that, but it can't be Game Night. What else has he been in recently? Kinds of Kindness comes out this year. He's been in a lot of TV, like he was in Love and Death last year. It has to be Power of the Dog, Oscar nominated. So yeah, I'm gonna go Power of the Dog. I'm thinking of ending things.
Killers of the Flower Moon, you said.
Killers of the Flower Moon. I don't want to say The Irishman. I'll say The Irishman. So I'll go Scorsese Power.
You went 2 for 4. 2 for 4. Irishman on here. Power of the Dog on here. Oscar nominated, right? Not my favorite Jesse Plemons role, but Power of the Dog's on here.
Very small.
Now, the first one, Game Night, is on here.
Oh my God.
Game Night is in the top 4. You're never going to guess the last one. It's insane what the last movie is. It's disrespectful. This is what IMDb does. Battleship. Battleship is the final one and known for. Crazy. Disrespect to our plump boy. You know, that's early on. I'm surprised they didn't just throw
I would never on planet Earth have guessed Battleship. I don't even remember him in Battleship. I remember obviously Taylor Kitsch, Friday Night Lights, and also that's a Peter Berg, Friday Night Lights. He directed that as well. So it makes sense why he's in that movie, but known for? Are you kidding me? I'm thinking of ending things. Jesse Buckley. Like, that was a great movie. Very slow, but great. Like, come on.
Yeah, Judas and the Black Messiah. He was so good in that too.
Oh, that was a good one.
Judas
I
and the
didn't even
Black
think of
Messiah.
that.
He was fire, dude. He was awesome in that movie.
That's a
Gosh.
good. We got to do that more
And if you're
often.
doing TV, dude, he's legendary TV actor, like
Yeah.
Black Mirror. Like, well, they do even
Like,
bring up Black Mirror.
okay, well,
Fargo. That's his top 4 for TV. Breaking Bad, Friday Night Lights, Fargo, Black Mirror. That's one of the best
Black
like
Mirror
in
episode's
recent
great.
history.
All right,
That's
well, okay,
insane.
what would your top 4 Jesse Plemons be in movies then?
Game Night is on there.
You
No.
Game
For
Night?
movies, I'm talking about performances.
No, like on IMDb.
Known for?
Yeah.
I would still put Game Night on there. Yeah.
My God, you're crazy.
I want to put Power of the Dog just because he got nominated
Oscar.
for
You have
an
to.
Oscar. Judas and the Black Messiah is kind of forgotten. Like no one talks about that movie anymore. You know?
And Daniel Kaluuya got an Oscar.
I think the Irishman's there, right? He's Pacino's kid in that movie. It's not a great performance, but like, come on.
You would put that in over
Killers of the Flower Moon is 4. Killers of the Flower Moon.
But he has more screen time in Killers of the Flower Moon. It's a more recent movie, and Scorsese.
Better performance from him too.
And better and more box office, obviously.
I think no, they're both on there, right? It's Irishman, Killers of the Flower Moon, Game Night, Power of the Dog.
Yeah, I'm thinking of anything. I guess just no one's seen that movie. I guess that's why you can't put it. But then again, like you look at Kirsten Dunst's like Melancholia, whatever, 2011. It was like her last like big role before Power of the Dog, and it was like, I don't know, like how many people have seen that movie? Like,
I would do Kirsten Dunst. I'd be like Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3.
and
then Marie Antoinette.
Oh, yeah, right.
I think we should give scores right now and then jump into some spoilers, Ricky Flex. What do you give Civil War?
I'm going 84. 84. I really like this movie. I'll talk about some nitpicks on the back, the spoilers with some specifics, but I also wanted to mention, because you mentioned it earlier, I did find some lulls in the movie. I don't think it was ever boring, but there were some moments where I wasn't falling asleep, but I was like, damn, like, come on now, let's get going here. And it's not because like, I think because the movie was so like episodic. It was a journalist quest, like road trip type of story. And in a road trip type of movie, you can't have those lulls. And it felt kind of video game-esque a little bit too. And Alex Garland admittedly said this was supposed to be like a TV series when he was writing it. That's what he first imagined. So I kind of felt that a little bit at times.
Wow.
But at 84 is a great score. Like, it's a very good score. I just think that the ceiling for this movie just came down a bit. And it delivered. It met my expectations, if not more. Really good movie. I highly recommend it.
86 for me. 86. This kind of did feel like they're going station to station, with this road trip type of movie. It's like we're going to spend here for 10 minutes, we're going to go here for 10 minutes, and eventually we're going to have this final sequence that's like 20 minutes, But I felt like those stations, they were tense. And I thought it was thrilling. And I was on the edge of my seat. My butthole was tightened up. I was flexing my abs during a lot of those sequences, thinking like, I have no idea how this is going to end. And you're meeting such weird characters, right? Eccentric, like side characters in this movie, supporting characters that are just in and out, but it's like, look how lost these people are, or look how insane they have become. And the movie, I think, did answer the question, like, what would like Civil War look like in America? Even capturing moments like the bystanders who think I think Alex Garland, there's a really like, it feels out of place, and it's not a great scene in my eyes, but I thought it was like, I see what Alex Garland's doing, is when they go to that town, and they go to the shop, and it looks like nothing is happening, right? Nothing is happening. They're not impacted by the Civil War whatsoever. And this girl says, we just don't pay attention to that, and I was really like interested in that moment in the trailer. I was wanting to see what that scene was going to look like. And it kind of was just showing like, when you walk outside and you have like snipers right outside, like you can think you're not a part of this. You think it doesn't impact you, but it does. I think he was trying to say something a little bit about politics there, about people who want to stay as bystanders, right? And he says, you got to be active in some way. This does impact you. I thought that was like the biggest political statement he made in the movie, for a movie that's pretty apolitical, even though it's titled Civil War. 86. Kirsten Dunst, awesome. Jesse Plemons, scene of the year so far, aside from everything in Dune 2. But yeah,